दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णाप्रेमकाय कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरकृष्णे नमः हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम राम। हरे कृष्णा we recited this two times, no? Hare Krishna that kind of mistake is good. You can strike more and more times. Yes. So this is a wonderful section of Krishna meeting Sudama visits Lord Krishna. So last class we were discussing the glories of hearing Krishna Katha. Any point, any remembrance from the last session? We discussed something on the glory of hearing Krishna Katha. Sukdev Goswami's in Parikshit Maharaja's eagerness, I think.
Yes. 6 types of hearing.
Okay.
3 that are glorified and 3 that are not glorified.
Correct. Yes. Yes, bro. Any other point? One week back. Very correct. Yes, sir. Every correction button is yes. Yes. Sudesh.
Last class. Hearing what 6 types.
You're all educated in technical, 6 points. Any other? Anything? Apart from 6 kinds of hearing, you heard.
Asking questions and it's so from the example. Enthusiastic hearer.
Yeah. We discussed that how if somebody is anxious to hear, when there is anxiousness about Krishna Master, then there is no right. So we were quoting from Bhagavad Gita 10.1. Prabhupada says this that if the people are anxious about Krishna, to become Krishna conscious, in such a community, such a society, Krishna Katha will be automatic. So much of Krishna Katha will automatically happen. Yes, any other point? So that was being anxious to be Krishna conscious. Like that. We also discussed about how our all senses and limbs of the body, if they're not engaged in Krishna consciousness, then they are compared to, like tongue was compared to stroking of a frog. Our speech, that's like taking like a stroke of frog. And ears for the snake hole, yes. What else? Hands and legs are dead. Yeah.
Eyes like peacock.
Yes, eyes are like peacock plumes. Plumes are like also the language. Correct. So that was from second canto. Any other? Okay. So, yeah, we were discussing also that how by profuse Shravanam and Kirtanam, one can reduce all the possibility of gossip. You remember this point also we discussed that when we have profuse amount of Shravanam Kirtanam going on in the community, then automatically one will not be interested in doing some kind of mundane talk. So if we are seeing that we're developing the tendency to gossip a lot or get into all the type of many other things. So that is because of our reduction in Shravanam and Kirtanam. So proportionately in the community, Shravanam and Kirtanam is going on, that everyone can reduce all this things. So healthy community means the more Shravanam and Kirtanam is like that. And when Shravanam and Kirtanam is profusely done, then Smaranam is automatic. Then we'll remember Krishna more and more. So then fourth verse, I think fourth we'll read and then we'll continue from there. So fourth verse translation is, an actual head is one that bows down to the Lord in his manifestations among the moving and non-moving creatures. Realize that those that see only the Lord, and actual names are those which regularly honor the water that has bathed the Lord's feet or those other devotees. Then there is text 5, can you read out to me? Suta uvacha Vishnurateena sampreshto Bhagavan Badarayanihi Vasudeve Bhagavati Nimagna Hridayo Pravi. So he says, Sudha Goswami said, the question by King Vishnurat, the powerful sage Badarayani replied, his heart fully absorbed in meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. So here, this Vishnurat means Parikshit Maharaj. No? So Parikshit Maharaj, it is mentioned in the description of the canto that his birth and his death and his activities, all three are considered very glorious. Why his birth is very glorious? Vishnu Radha, he was protected by Lord Vishnu. How? We know that episode, no? That how Parikshit, when he was in the womb of his mother, then Ashwathama, he released the Brahmastra. Then what happened? Who is mother of Parikshit Maharaj? Uttara. And Uttara, she cried helplessly, no? The Lord's name. She was seeking the shelter of the Lord by crying his name. Then what happened? The Lord entered the womb and protected Parikshit Maharaj there. So he got a darshan of the Lord right in his womb itself. And that's why we know that when Parikshit Maharaj came out from the womb of his mother, that time he would always search. He would go to people and search someone. So Parikshit, Parikshan Karna. So he always examining. Where is that Lord whom I was having darshan? I had fortune. So you always do that examination. Where is the Lord? Where is the Lord? So his name became Parikshit. It was in Parikshan. So he's saying this question by King Vishnurat, that is Parikshit Maharaj. The powerful saint Badarani replied, his heart fully absorbed in meditations in the important past. So this is one very important aspect of Krishna Katha, or glorifying the Supreme Lord. So that speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam or any person who is attempting to glorify the Lord. So one of the importance what is given is that one has to be absorbed also in Krishna Katha in the scriptures. Then the Krishna Katha is very potent and powerful also. So like sometimes somebody may is there on the Vyasasana and then they may talk about what sarcasm we got, what political things are happening. So sometimes one may talk a lot of worldly things also. So it is said that, the Shastra are telling that when somebody is sitting on the Vyasasana, then his responsibility to repeat Vyasasana. That's why we pray like that. That's why we seek blessings and prayers. We do prayers to previous acharyas that we can properly represent. Because we have a tendency to not be so absorbed, and that's how we may speak many other things. So it's very helpless situation because we may not be that absorbed, but we have to glorify the Lord. But Lord is pleased when we are, because we are taking on the order of our superiors. That is our mood. So we may not be that qualified. Here, Vyasdev is, Sukadeva Goswami is so absorbed, he's saying that Nimadne Hridayu. He's completely absorbed in the Supreme Lord. And that platform is speaking. So, but then how we are able to, how we attempt to speak? Because we are ordered in the same parampara of Vyasdev, Sukadeva Goswami. So we are also trying to speak. So that is on the order of our superiors who are in Buddha like that. So this is a very important thing that how our Sukadeva Goswami is from God. And on that platform he is speaking. Like there's different state of consciousness, Susupti, Jagrati, and Turiya stage. So Turiya is Samadhi stage, when it's completely absorbed, the Supreme Lord. So Sukadeva Goswami, when he spoke Srimad Bhagavatam, it was completely Samadhi stage. Because it's completely absorbed in the Supreme Lord. Like that. Like sometimes people have this doubt now about creation of the universe. So one of the answers they give that Sukadeva Goswami was speaking on the 3 stage, Samadhi stage. That's why he could see things as they are. But sometimes somebody who may not be in that stage may not be able to comprehend. So some difference may come. But one should accept the verdict of the great acharyas, Shri Prasad, Sukadeva Goswami, because they are not speaking on a mundane platform. They're speaking on a Samadhi platform. So their things are more, they're having the revelation of things which an ordinary person who is not in that stage may not understand. Like that. So that's how even Srila Prabhupada purports. Srila Prabhupada purports are also Prabhupada being Samadhi. He has given this purport. That's why he said that my purports are my studies. Prabhupada said studies. Because Prabhupada is absorbed in the Supreme Lord. That's why he's speaking. So that's why when we come in touch with Srila Prabhupada's words, so it can have a great impact on our hearts because it's spoken in Samadhi, complete absorption of the Supreme Lord. So here also we see that Sukadeva Goswami is verified that Nimagna is completely absorbed. So it is, I was hearing that when Parikshit Maharaj was asking, after Goswami was asking, that 1 year thing, what happened. So that time, because of eagerness of Parikshit Maharaj, he could have not, Sukadeva Goswami had not spoken, he could have gone ahead. But because he asked, that 1 year gap, what happened? So then, Sukadeva Goswami, he immediately remembered the whole Brahma Yoga. He said that because he remembered and he got so absorbed that he just became silent, he just completely went into ecstasy. And he could not speak. It was almost like, some time he was not able to speak. And then the audience, they started doing kirtan. And after something, there was only came and then they started speaking like that. So, and also I've heard that the direct name of Radharani is sometimes not so much mentioned. Anya Radhitan, even indirectly. But that is also said that because he's direct. So, directly speaks the name of Radharani, he will go so much in ecstasy that he will not able to speak on it. Maharaj is very less. So you can see that these great souls are speaking, and when they're speaking, they're actually tuning into Lord Fast. So they're witnessing the Lord Fast and they're speaking. So they are in those past times. They are completely absorbed. From that stage, they speak like that. So just like they're not ordinary. And when we hear such glorification of the Lord, so it can actually purify our heart, to such a great extent, just by giving submissive orders. So we have to tune in to the speaker who's is so absorbed because he's tuning into the spiritual world. We were not able to directly tune to the spiritual world, but let us try to tune to the words of the Acharyas, which the Prabhupada purports. So that way we can also get access to the spiritual world, because you understand, like connection. So B is connected to C, A is connected to B, then A also can be connected to C. So the access you can get to the spiritual world. That's why when you're hearing with absorption, and the person who is sincerely also trying to repeat the blessings of the Acharya, or if some great Acharya is speaking, so we also get tuned to the spiritual world. That's how we our consciousness becomes spiritualized. Just by giving submissive or the reception, our consciousness also get spiritualized. So King Kulishekara also example. And how in his kingdom, everybody was thinking our king is mad. Because what would happen when Brahmana would come and recite the Ramayana, and then some sad pastime, any pastime happens, then you get completely absorbed in that. No? So like our place has come, Kharadoshan has come. So that time Tulshikar said, "Hey, Kharadoshan has come. Now we have to get the army." And everybody thinking, "Hey, where they have come?" No? And because the Brahmana is reciting the Ramayana, now because that episode has come, Kharadoshan has come, and now Lord Rama and Lakshmana had to fight against them. And how can they fight? And they're just a prince, a young prince. So it's not, we have to support the Lord, no? Out of devotion, the king Kulishekar or things like that. And then he would demand from his whole army, get the army now, we have to go. And everyone is thinking, our king has gone mad. What is this? Where is Karan Dushan? Where is the Ramayana happening? So he was like, they were all completely bewildered. What to do? So like that many times this chaos will happen. Because so happy pastime is fine. That time king will be happy and some celebrations and all good. But some kind of sad pastime, then big trouble. Like that because they have to become ready and have to attack and they will completely bewildered what to do. So then they had a meeting and they decided we will only tell the happy pastimes. We won't tell any kind of pastime which may create the king's mood in that way that he now demands from us and then becomes big problem for all of us. So then they said, okay. And then they always tell a happy pastime story. And then one day the Brahmana was sick and he could not. And his son came, but he did not tell this point that please don't tell the sad pastime. And then what happened? So that time this Sita Haran Leela, that came. And when that happened, oh, Krishna went like, was so much aggrieved. I was saying, how could Ravana stay with the Sita? And he became so upset. And then he just said, come on, army, come now, and we will go. Where will we go? We'll go to Lanka, and we'll kill Ravana. And we were just thinking, where we have to go, what should we do? And they have to somehow just follow because king has ordered. All of them just came, okay, king, we are coming. Come on, go, get fast, we have to we have to reach very fast because we cannot tolerate the Sita being tortured by Ravana like this. And then they came and the near ocean. And then the king started going inside the ocean. And then all the soldiers are thinking, my dear king, what's happening? You will drown. Come, you also come. They're thinking what to do. And they started praying, go Ram, go Lord Rama, please protect him. Because he is completely in his world. And then he just started moving ahead, and and then in the ocean, then the water was coming up like this, and then always came up to the neck. And as the king was about to drown, that time Sita, Ram, and Hanuman, Lakshman, everybody appeared and said, "So Sita is here, Ravana is killed. So don't worry, king. We have come back." Like that. And the king became very happy. So that time, I was hearing this. Radhanath Maharaj describing this beautiful, very beautiful in 2010 Kartik Yatra. So they were saying the whole kingdom was thinking that our king is in some illusion, he's into some madness. We are living in reality. Where is this king was into some other world only. But actually, Maharaj saying that the king was in reality because he was actually with God past time in this spiritual world. He was completely witnessing and was completely absorbed. He was in reality. Actually, these people are into some kind of dream because they are thinking, I have to do this, I have to do that, and so many worldly things like that. Of course, they will be good devotees, but the point is, the absorption of the king was so much into the spiritual world that he became completely aloof from any kind of external affairs of this world. So he was completely reality, like that. So you can see that, that day our Shivasan was saying that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had different kinds of states. One state was completely absorbed, where he will not be completely aware, he will not be aware only of the external world. And second was he'll be tuned in and also being aware. Correct? The thing like that. And sometimes, I think that is still always two only, two state only. Okay. Third is that he may not be directly so tuned. He is already tuned, but okay, fine.
Internal, external, after external.
Yeah. That external also is kind of always tuned. So the point is that so this absorption in Krishna Katha, that is what we see in the life of Acharya, that they are completely absorbed. And that's how they were. And not only when they are doing Krishna Katha, even when doing the other activities also. Hmm. Like I heard this anecdote, Muktan Bro can tell. Like one devotee, when he was asked that how you became, then he said he saw Prabhupada eating oranges, and then the Prabhupada spit the seed like this, and then the seed directly went to the bin, whatever the dustbin or what. And just by seeing that, he was so amazed, and then he became devotee. Like that he was. So you don't know which activity of a pure Vaishnava can just attract a conditioned soul. So like that. So it's all activities are very attractive. Just like all activities of Krishna is attractive and very potent, spiritually potent, and it can actually conquer Maya in the heart of conditioned soul. The same way, the pure devotee activities are also transcendent. Why? Because it only absorbed. That's all. Then Prabhupada would say that my devotees should, my disciples and my followers should become so advanced. Just by seeing them, people should become delivered. People should get delivered. Like that Prabhupada would say. That much Prabhupada has expectation. It will become so advanced that by seeing us, people should get delivered. So we sometimes it may happen other way. By seeing them, we may get bewildered. Because we may not be so absorbed. We should not get bewildered. Rather, we should be so absorbed that they should get delivered. That is the expectation from all of us. So that means we have to be really working on our, Shravanam and Kirtanam and more absorption in Krishna consciousness. So, yeah. So the next verse we'll see. Shri Shuka Vacha Krishnasya Tirtha Kashe Brahmano Brahmavittamaha Virakta Indriyartheshu Prashantatma Jitendriyaha. Saying, Sukadeva Goswami said, Lord Krishna had a certain Brahmin friend named Sudama who was most learned in Vedic knowledge and detached from all sense enjoyment. Furthermore, his mind was peaceful and his senses subdued. So here, okay, one more verse to read. Living as a householder, living as a householder, he maintained himself in whatever came on his own accord. The wife of that poorly dressed Brahmana suffered along with him and was emaciated from blood. So verse of Sabi. Yadrochaya papannena vartimano rahashami tasya bharya kucharasya shut cha tatha vidha. So here, our Sudeva Goswami is actually describing, he's giving the introduction of this Rama Brahman, how he's a friend of Lord Krishna. So it's very amazing because somebody being friend of the Lord, associate of the Lord, so it's not ordinary. So there was some taking pleasure in giving introduction of Sudama Brahmana and talking about his qualities. So here he mentioned different qualities. We are turning into what? You have choice. We want to tune in there and tune in. So we'll tune into Bhagavatam. So he says different qualities. So one of the things is, he says Brahma Vittamaha. So Brahma Vittama means he was very learned in Vedic scriptures. No? And then he says Virakta Indriya Keshu. That means detached from material sense gratification, chasing after material sense gratification. Virakta Indriya Keshu. And Prashant Atma. Prashant Atma means he was completely subdued his, he was completely peaceful. He was completely peaceful. Satisfied and peaceful. Jitendriya. Jitendriya means he was confident, subdued his senses. And Yadrik Shreya Vanno. Whatever will come on its own accord, Savarana would just be happy with that. He will not be greedy or angry. He will be just satisfied with what will come on its own accord. So here, Brahma Vittam, that means he was learned, in the Vedic scriptures. So this is one of the very important quality of the Brahma Vaishnava, that he should be also well versed in the scriptures like that. And why it is so important? Because when we actually read Shastras, we read the scriptures, then one can understand what is reality and what is illusion. So that discrimination becomes very good, powerful. So one gets Radha Shama says X-ray vision. X-ray vision. What is X-ray vision? Means one can see through the coverings of Maya. No? Otherwise, one may not able to see things as they are. Like that. So if you read Prabhupada books regularly, then you can see that we get that kind of vision. More we read, and when we don't read, it's the other way also. That we are very prone to get deluded by Maya also. Like that, both ways, vice versa. So to a degree, we take shelter of the scriptures, the Vani of great souls. To that degree, we have that kind of vision. Otherwise, one may get bewildered like that. So this kind of X-ray vision can help us not to get deluded by Maya like that. And otherwise, what happens? Otherwise, we tend to get into those activities which are not meant for our real perfection. It's not meant for that. So the second point, direct Indriya station. Because he was so learned, so ultimately he was detached from chase of material gratification. Like that. So, like Srila Prabhupada said, if you don't read my books, if you're not hearing, if you're not reading, then you simply eat, sleep, and fall down. He said. And Chandra, this Prabhupada said that if you don't read and hear, then you'll simply eat and sleep and fall down. This Prabhupada I'm repeating as it is. He understood why I'm saying correctly. So the point is that, because then we will not have that kind of briskness in our consciousness to be engaged ourselves in Krishna consciousness. And so when we are learned, when we are reading Shastra, we are reading proper purpose, then it becomes easy to remain focused. And then he says, that means detached from this kind of pursuit for material gratification, eating to be meeting differently. Okay, you're translating it. So what happens is when we are not, as I said, when we not brisk in our consciousness, then we make priorities which is not going to help us. No? So that means we become kind of deviated from the ultimate goal of life. So we lose sight of our real goal of life. Last class also we were discussing about Visheshakya. So Visheshakya means one must understand the essence of life. Essence of life is to simply awaken our love for Krishna. There's nothing else in this world we need, which we are looking for. So then one can actually keep oneself free from this kind of pursuit for material gratification and even moksha, the desire for moksha also. Both things. So Virat Sangyateshu, that means one never loses sight of Krishna consciousness. So there are two kinds of duties we may have in this. One are the immediate responsibility. It may be related to family or your studies or job. There may be many kinds of responsibilities may be there. Some immediate duties may be there. Or you may have to also take care of the body in terms of eating. And there is ultimate goal of our life. That is to awaken our Krishna consciousness. So those devotees who are built in their tradition, that means those who are very brisk in the Krishna consciousness, and they don't lose sight of Krishna consciousness. So in spite of whatever routine that is going on, whatever circumstances are going on, so they never lose sight of Krishna. It's very, very important. Because what happens that sometimes we get so absorbed, so engrossed, not engrossed we can say, in those kind of affairs that we will lose sight of Krishna consciousness. And then we can see that our chanting and our other things, that kind of gets compromised. Reading, chanting, coming to temple, that kind of gets compromised. We get like some kind of covering comes like that. So, but if you are reading, hearing well, when we are having this Virat issue, in the sense that if you are not losing the sight, then in all situations of life, we'll always seek that essence of Krishna consciousness. Then we will not be, becoming like slack in our practices. So that is, Virat India. That means we always keep sight of Krishna consciousness. Like suppose even when there is a lot of storm, like snowfall was there, and sometimes storm kind of situation may be there, and sometimes a lot of people may be also there, rush may be there. Sometimes we find situation, but if you are looking for the goal, you have to go to the destination. Then we don't lose sight of that. We have to take sometimes some precaution. Okay, I should not sleep in the snow, or I should not get lost because of so many crowds, so much of crowd, whatever. Because we always keep track of, we always keep sight of that goal, the destination. Correct, no? So we don't get carried away by any kind of distractions or anything, right? Or any other things which may have to do on the way. Suppose you have to put fuel in the car or you have to purchase something, but we know where we have to. So that we don't lose sight. So as a sadhaka, we should, so this is very important for us that we always keep this kind of vision, I mean, the kind of focus that this is the goal of my life, like that. So, like in the beginning, when we come to Krishna consciousness, I still remember, when we were in the voice, I think we were just in first year only, I think. That time, our facilitator he asked, so how many of you are convinced of that spiritual exists? You always do. So, how many of you are convinced that that's the only goal of your life? You go back to spiritual? All of us raise our hand. I was thinking that, how many times you remember this? That I have to go back to God and I have to go to the eternal kingdom of the Lord and serve Krishna. This is not the life where I have to just continue. But it's just we get carried away. We just forget it. And so many other things that becomes our, we get engrossed in. And then we get into so many varieties of activities, talks, which completely sometimes not related to our real goal, like that. So sometimes we have to get engaged in some kind of activities, responsibilities when we need it as part of service, but we have to know that the essence, that side of Krishna consciousness, then ultimately for what purpose I am here, for what purpose I am involved in any kind of activity. So ultimately to awaken my Krishna consciousness. Like that. There's not what is in it for me, what is in it for me, but where is it all? So we should always think that what is in it for me to become Krishna conscious in any activity. How can I become Krishna conscious in this activity? Like that. And then there's Prashantatma. Prashantatma means Bhuktaramikatapsam Sarvalokameshwaram Siddhartha Gyatamam Shanti. So the person who understands that Krishna is the supreme proprietor, he is the supreme controller, he is the supreme God, he is the supreme wishing friend. So the person can become completely peaceful. So this is one of the definition what they say also, that Asura and Devata, those who are demonic and those who are divine. So the demonic people, they always keep themselves as center. That is what demonic people do. And the divine people, they always keep Krishna as the pivot of their life. Krishna is always the center, like that. So, this when we think that I am the pivot, then we can see that is being demoniac mentality. People, those who think that I am the pivot, when we have this kind of orientation of our heart, then so much of anxiety will come. Then we cannot be peaceful because we not understanding that I'm not in control. Krishna is in control. We forget that, and then we have so much of fear, so much of anxieties. But if we understand that ultimately, okay, I may be doing a lot of activities because my responsibility is my duty, but always being aware that at least, actually, I am not in control. Krishna is the control. Ultimately, everything in Krishna's hand. So this is an amazing phenomenon of spiritual. Like Srila Prabhupada, when he was expanding this ISKCON, so much of preaching and everything, the Prabhupada would get into so much, to management and guiding devotees and solving the problem. Like we see that how in Juha episode, Prabhupada fought like anything. Such a great fight, Prabhupada did. Every minute thing Prabhupada was so much into. But even though pure devotees, they get so much into those kind of important services and activities and management. At the same time, they always have this understanding that I am not the controller, Krishna is the controller. They don't forget that. So they do that depending on the Lord and understanding ultimately is Krishna's hand. That. So this is an amazing thing. So sometimes you may think, okay, Krishna is in control only, so I will not do anything. Then you may think like that. And sometimes you may think, okay, I only have to do it. So when we feel that I only have to do everything, then so much of fear and anxiety. So, but if we have this conviction and understanding that Krishna is in control, then we can be very peaceful. Prabhupada said also that everything is revolving around, everything is happening by the will of the Lord. Krishna is in control. So this consciousness is Krishna consciousness. I think 13th chapter of the Canto. When towards the end, it was one of the last translation work of Srila Prabhupada. So there he says this. So then we can be Krishna conscious. So many times when we, even though we are engaged in Krishna conscious activities, why we unnecessarily get too much of anxieties and fears and all that? Because we may not be sometimes accepting Krishna that he's in control, like that. And when we associate with devotees who have that mood, then we can also learn to peacefully practice, as we practice, not get too much disturbed. And then Jitendriya, that means no, Vacho Vegam, Sarva Vegam, Jiva Vegam. By practicing Krishna consciousness, one can conquer the cravings of senses and mind. That is gradually one can do that. It's possible by Krishna consciousness. By engaging ourselves in Krishna. So he was Jitendriya because he was engaging in devotional service very nicely. Dharma. And then fifth is Yatrikshaya Upadano. That means whatever would come on his own account, he was happy with that. Like that. So this is our Tukaram Maharaj also says, what it's in Marathi, what he says. In Marathi, what he says Tukaram Maharaj. That the way the Lord keeps me, the person should be like that one. Whatever the Lord keeps the person. In Marathi, it is. It's very famous. In Pune, many Marathi devotees have called this. So whatever way, the Lord Vithala keeps you, just be like this. It's a baby, no? Babies kept whatever way, upside down, like this, whatever. I mean, on the belly is kept on the floor or the back. The baby always lies like that. The same way the devotee of the Lord, he just remains in a position, happily remains in the position the way the Lord keeps. And what he does, he simply engages in devotion. Because devotee is convinced that opportunity to practice Krishna consciousness is there for me in all situations. So whatever be my material circumstances, I have the opportunity to chant. I have the opportunity to associate with devotees. I have the opportunity to engage in Krishna consciousness. That is there. When Mataji, she got this cancer, came to know, and then she had very less time, maybe 2-3 years would have to live. That's all. So that time she became so much like her body got so damaged that she was not able to even walk and anything. She had to be just on bed. So I think it was in Mayapur. So then this Mataji, somebody gifted her some kind of computer by which she could just press the button and read the Prabhupada books. So in 3 years, whatever time she had, 3 years, she completed almost all the books. And then she was thinking that, oh, for my whole life, actually, I did not get much time to read Prabhupada books and get absorbed into the Prabhupada books. But now I got a cancer. And she said that I could never feel this kind of Krishna consciousness in my life. What I am experiencing right now. Being so completely engrossed into the Prabhupada books. She was in ecstasy so much. And she was really grateful for this situation what Krishna put her in, of having this cancer and everything. Can you imagine? So for any ordinary person, any materialist, somebody getting cancer is going to die in 2 days is a big trauma. But here is a lady who is so grateful for her situation that I am feeling such ecstasy, in Krishna Master for this situation. So the point is, whatever material circumstances are there, so our general tendency is that we start just kind of counteracting or becoming upset or feeling why this is happening or why I have less, or we may become proud when we have more, or we may become depressed when we don't have much. So this kind of thing may happen. But a devotee is not so concerned about the material circumstance. What is concerned that how can I use this material situation to become Krishna conscious? That is what devotee's concern is. So in that, if that is our mood, if that is our attitude, then we will see that in all situations of life we can be Krishna. In all situations of life. So that's why the person who has that faith, that opportunity is there for me. Also. So then one can actually, be happy with the material sentence. Whatever Lord is giving on its own account, whatever comes, you will be happy like that. So then one will not necessarily compete also. Why he is getting more, why I am not getting. So this kind of thing also will not do. Because whatever comes on its own account, whatever Lord gives me, I am happy. Like father may give some child something, another child something else. The child is happy because he knows my love with my father is intact. he's feeling complete shelter and security in Father's love for him. Then he won't compare. Right. Same way the devotee is also engaged in devotion service nicely. Then he will not feel this kind of competitive or mentality or envy and all those things will not be there. It's very satisfied and happy. Right. So I think Manoj was indicating me to pause here. So I think I'll have to pause. Yes, so if you have any questions or any comments, you can discuss. But I think we have some service. So we need to. Yes, no.
That point of King Kulashekar, his absorption was just so glorious. And you shared Maharaj's, the point that Maharaj made in 2010 article. How he is living in reality, not those who are so-called aware of the surroundings. So that is so deep actually, because that is the absolute truth, the Lord's pastimes and what is happening on that transcendental plane. Sometimes devotees of the Lord may be seen as impractical or living in some other fantasy world of some stories which are apparently which have no proof. People have these kind of accusations towards the devotees. But actually, it's the devotees who are living in reality and not so-called practical.
Some kind of madness, no? So it's very nice. So yeah, we can see also even in our ISKCON community also. I've seen Krishna completely aloof to many activities sometimes. The devotee will get told. So one of the instruction what they give when you have to serve such devotees is don't get into mental calculation. Don't try to put in your own frame of mind how this great social. अरे तो टाइम ही नहीं देते क्लास का टाइम what is this? I don't know what is this now? We booked the train ticket and Prabhu did not come only. So we should not imitate also. There's another lesson. We should not imitate because we are not that God. So we have to be careful. But sometimes they will do that. So you will see a lot of apparent mistakes. But they're not mistakes in Krishna life. Because they are not doing mistake of forgetting Krishna. We may be doing perfectly everything, but we have done the mistake, greatest mistake of not doing it. So there's a lot of difference between us and them. Like that. So we may commit offenses there. When now so many great souls are coming, we have to be careful also. We should not think, hey, why not doing this? Like one Maharaj, one very great devotee, he did not chant Mahaprasadi Govinda prayer. No. So he was sitting, it was in my prayer, the devotee was sitting beside and said, Prabhu, you did not chant Mahaprasadi Govinda. He said, I don't need it. Just to teach him a lesson, he said he was very kind. It was very trained, Mahaprasadi Govinda. Perfectly, it was learned the idea. You would be Mahaprasadi Govinda, or you will not be So the essence of all our rituals is regulation. Not that we have to imitate, but the point is we should not judge also. So because they are absorbed, so they are glorious. Yeah, good point. So there are sometimes some kind of madness can be seen. Bhakti Maharaj would run in the temple. Once he was running like this, dhoti came. They go to the in the So nothing is a mistake. Yeah, nothing is a mistake. What mistake? No, these are thought. It's not in body consciousness. It's good. Right. So it's nice to have some kind of madness. Good. You relish that. And then we are very meticulous in many things. Yes, bro.
You had mentioned about like demons and how we shouldn't get too absorbed in the material. And, like in the Isa Upanishad, it says that we shouldn't take more than our quota that's given to us, and that by going against that and the material, it literally makes demons. So, like in the United States, we're a country of demons, or rascaldom, I guess is how true the problem. Yeah, because everybody's absorbed in the material aspects instead of looking for something better and try to have a conversation.
Hmm. Basically, I think you're talking about the point of what is demoniac people, they keep Krishna, I mean, sorry, themselves as a pivot of the whole. That's what I said, isn't it? And devotees, they keep Krishna. Any other point? Anybody else? Yes.
So, what thing you're talking about, how just by how we split out this. And, then there's also one pastime which I think that when Srinagar was crossing the road, he saw that the lights, we call it the lights of Srinagar, the lights were, and they were red. If there was a soft was on the side, where the vehicles were, there was no vehicles were when he crossed. The person who was falling to the person saw that the road of even though he's a counselor, he is practically lights. And just by looking at that, you can this is one thing, and it's very. The second thing which I found
He did not cross by seeing the red light.
no, he did cross
And he
because there were no vehicles with him.
Okay.
You got to be practical like him because there is nothing.
Oh,
nothing
okay.
was going on.
Okay.
When it is there, you go.
Okay.
When you follow, see, you have to follow.
But we should follow or not? Why must?
No, we should follow.
But I think they actually.
You have to be. We
Right.
you understand this. New Agra and New Agra.
Yes.
You have to understand where exactly you should draw the line. That's what. There has to be practicality. And second point which I was trying to say was that I think is you know I understand that because when we live in this world we see everyone in this world, especially when it checks on me. Yeah, people may not be following Krishna consciousness, and they may be following like something else. But and I think being as a devotee and as a Shilpa follower, we have freedom that they are ignorant, but not in a way in a mood that like, we are higher and we are low.
They are rascals.
We should not no, not in
Slopes and
not
peaks.
but in we should see in that aspect that they are ignorant. If they know, then they will. Some people even after knowing they may not do it. And it's because they have been as the other day you were talking about like condition or our Pitambar Gundam yesterday and people are like that. And that sense we should have. Third point which I can say and think of now because since our these people are our great and they can see one danger in that what happens. If someone stays very cool with some sannyasi, and if sannyasi does as we were talking about how one person who was sitting next to me and go reading and say I don't need them. Awesome. And there is also similar story that Mishra Prabhupada was traveling on a train and he got a samosa and he ate it. And he was just thinking, what is this? Once you were eating samosa, Prabhupada said, yeah, I can do it. You cannot do it. Because this is good. So we have to understand. And also another thing that when these personalities are there, when you are close to them and if they do certain things, we might do offenses to them. This is what familiarity creates contempt. If you are not on that level, and if you are thinking that you know much better than anybody else, because pride seeps in when you have a higher, when you have a material degrees and when you have high ability, you think this seeps in. You think I'm better than him. I can do this, and I can quote this, I can do, and this seeps in, and then we feel that we are better than anyone, and it starts in false control. And even into rumors, to that level we can become the senior people and do this. And then this is the beginning of the fall. And that's why we have to be very, very careful that how to do, how not to do certain things. This is one. And I'm telling you because I know that when you are very close to any sannyasi, what happens when you start and you say, oh, he hasn't woken up yet. Oh, he hasn't done this thing. Or he hasn't. I mean, we don't know. He's a transcendental personality, even having a Leela with his with Lord Krishna. We don't know. And we just have to, if we don't know, then we just have to, we are ignorant and we have to just, just keep quiet. That's the best. So the point which I'm trying to draw is that, if you do not understand certain things, don't jump to something. Transcendental personalities, they have certain things, they do certain things in a different, which you don't understand. The person who's staying on the top and the person who's staying on the on the foothill, okay, he cannot see some things on the top of the hill. We should not comment on that. The better is that, like, just keep quiet and ask that one.
Correct.
That's what, as the point which you were saying, that because of understanding that we have to understand again how we should not commit things. It's very easy to make, oh, why he stopped, why he asked about TV. But it's not that way. Yeah. And certain things, when they ask it, we don't know with what context they are met. Because they're completely absorbed in Krishna. They don't see anything material. And nothing, everything they see in connection with Krishna. But since we are connected with Maya, material, we think that, oh, they are connected. They are seeing whatever they are speaking. Okay, they are there. That is connected. So this consciousness or this idea. So what a question.
This point of people, we should see them as ignorant. No, sorry, see them as ignorant, or maybe they are not aware. So, Bhakti Bhagavad was saying that like sometimes people may feel hatred. Like suppose some who may not dress properly, anti-dress and all that. So Maharaj is saying that one should understand that they have become victim of the current society's propaganda. Like that. So instead of just kind of condemning them, that mood should not be there. One should know that how people have become victimized by Maya's influence. And rather than condemning, one should give proper books and give them some kind of Krishna. That is more important. Devotee should have that vision instead of getting people who are criticizing them that way. Shastras do criticize, that is to learn lesson for us. That we should not do those kind of things and we should not be influenced by Maya. So that's for our own personal. We don't get carried away. Okay, so we'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jai Gaur Premanande.
Grace Radha Prabhu ki
Jai Prabhupada ki jai. Sudarshan, bro, you can see his videos and give him some gain. Just check him, talk to him and see. He will get.
With